Welcome to Radiant. All right, let's just jump right in, shall we? Because something is going on with the economy. There's this huge disconnect. I'm sure a lot of you are feeling it, but when you look at the official numbers, they just don't seem to match up. So we're going to get to the bottom of what's really happening.
I mean, on paper, by almost every official measure, things look okay. They say unemployment's relatively low, GDP is growing. So why does this question hit so close to home for so many of us? It really feels like the story the data is telling and the reality we're all living are two completely different things.
And that right there is the core idea we're going to unpack today. The whole premise is pretty simple, but wow, is it powerful. We are already living through an undeclared recession. The official confirmation? It's just lagging way behind our actual experience.
Now, check this out, because this is so important to understand. Recessions are always declared looking backward. The people who make the official call, the National Bureau of Economic Research, they wait. They have to wait for all the data to come in before they're sure. Just think about 2008. The official announcement didn't come out until a full year after the recession had already started. You literally live through it long before it ever becomes headline news.
So if the recession is already here, then where exactly is it hiding? We need to peel back the layers, look right past those big, bold headlines, and investigate the official numbers to find the clues that are buried deep inside the data. Let's start with the big one, unemployment. You see a number like 4.4%, and it doesn't sound too bad, right? I mean, this is the number we hear all the time, the one that's supposed to be a sign of a healthy economy, but it's just not the whole story. Not even close. And here is why. First off, that rate only counts people who are actively looking for a job. What about the 1.6 million people who've just given up looking? Poof, they're not counted as unemployed. They've just vanished from the statistics. And this is crucial. The definition of employed is so loose. If you drive for a delivery app for just 1 single hour a week, you're put in the exact same bucket as a full-time salaried engineer. Okay. Next up is another one of those positive headlines we see all the time. Job growth is strong. But again, we have to ask the right question. It's all about the quality of what's being measured. What kind of jobs are we actually creating here? This right here, this is the shell game. It just illustrates the problem perfectly. Let's say a company lays off one person from a good, full-time salary job with benefits. That person, just to make ends meet, is forced to take on 2 part-time gig jobs with low pay and no benefits. In the government's official statistics, guess what? That counts as a net gain of 1 job. The person is financially way worse off, but hey, the headline looks great. This is just the perfect analogy, isn't it? We're celebrating the fact that people are technically employed, but we're totally ignoring the massive drop in job quality, in security, in benefits. It is a classic case of not being able to see the forest for the trees. All right, let's look at the third pillar they use to argue for a strong economy, consumer spending. The logic goes, if people are out there spending money, the economy must be healthy. Simple, right? But where is that spending money actually coming from? And there's our answer. That spending isn't being fueled by rising incomes. Nope, it's being propped up by a mountain of debt. We've hit a record $1.28 trillion in credit card debt. People aren't just swiping for convenience anymore. They're borrowing just to cover the basics. It's like a plastic poison holding everything together. And at the exact same time, our ability to save anything has been nearly cut in half. The personal savings rate has just plummeted from a historical average of around 8% down to only 4.5%. This is textbook pre-recession behavior. It's what happens when households stretch themselves super thin with debt just to keep their heads above water. It works until one day it doesn't. So why is there this massive gaping chasm between the official data and what so many of us are actually experiencing? Well, the answer lies in this fascinating concept that explains exactly how these kinds of systems can be gamed. It's a concept called Goodhart's law, and the idea is actually pretty simple, but it's profound. The moment you take a measurement, let's say the unemployment rate, and you make it a primary target for policy, it immediately stops being an accurate reflection of reality. Here's basically how it works. Policymakers pick a number they really want to improve. Then they create all these incentives to make that one number look good. But in doing that, they start to ignore the actual real-world goal that the number was supposed to represent in the first place. They start managing the metric, not the actual economy. And this is the result.
The focus shifts to just lowering the headline unemployment number, not improving job quality. The goal becomes just maximizing GDP output, not making sure citizens are doing okay. It becomes about managing an inflation index, not reducing your actual real cost of living. And this is where recessions hide, in that gap between the measurement and our reality. So this is the really crucial point. We have to learn to look past the official targets. Let's try to build a better dashboard, one that gives us a much clearer picture of what's actually going on in the world. So if the main gauges on the dashboard are basically designed to look good no matter what, we need to find the ones that can't be so easily messed with. What are the real check engine lights for the economy that we should all be paying attention to?
Here is what that real dashboard looks like. Instead of just job growth, we should be watching job quality. Are we creating stable careers or just a bunch of gig work? Instead of just wage growth, we should be asking if it's actually keeping up with the cost of living. When you see those headlines about strong consumer spending, we need to ask, is that from healthy incomes or is it from rising debt? And then we watch the personal savings rate and commercial bankruptcies. These are the real indicators, the ones that show what's truly happening in our wallets. And that is what's happening right now. This isn't just one false alarm. It's like your car's check engine light, oil pressure warning, and brake light all decide to come on at the exact same time. When you see this entire constellation of signals flashing red, you know something much deeper is happening under the hood. Look, at the end of the day, the official data will catch up. It always does. The recession, when they finally declare it, it's not going to be news. It'll just be a confirmation of what anyone paying attention to the real signs already knew. So the only question left is, when that day comes, will you be prepared or will you be blindsided?